Hi, I'm Tristan. I'm 13 years old. I'm curious, I'm passionate, and I'm sure you are too. Join me on a quest to dig deep and find out new things. Welcome to Youth Voices. Good evening. Welcome to my program. This is your radio host, Tristan Pang, on Planet FM 104.6. Youth Voices. Good to have your company. In my program, I'll share with you some things that are inspirational, including interviews, stories, quotes, and whatever I find interesting and inspiring. I'm very excited about today, as my mentor will be here in a minute. Let's talk. My featured guest today is someone who is very special to me, my mentor, Andrew Patterson. Receiving and reading Andrew's emails becomes one of the highlights of my day. Andrew helps expand my horizon about the world. Because of Andrew, I love the world and the people even more. Andrew is a passionate youth advocate. He has extensive experience supporting young people. Andrew is a broadcaster, where he has his own weekly program at Radio Live. He is also a professional speaker, MC, and writer. Despite his very busy life, he still finds time to mentor and support almost 100 young people. He can probably enter the Guinness World Record for the most mentees in the world at a time. He also spares one day every week visiting schools, including primary, intermediate, and high schools, to help build the student confidence level. He never misses any opportunities, which can help young people soar. He has ran numerous workshops, including the Youth Summit at the Festival of Education last year. He is also organising a Big Question lecture series for high school students at the University of Auckland, aiming to inspire and prepare the high school students for their university studies. Recognising Andrew's passion and leadership abilities, New Zealand Association for Gifted Children, of which I'm a member, has nominated him for its election. He has successfully been elected as president for 2015. I'm very pleased to have him as my guest today, although I'm a bit nervous interviewing a professional broadcaster. But anyway, here we go. Hey Andrew, welcome to the program.
Thanks Tristan, it's great to be with you and congratulations on your new program.
Thank you Andrew. So the first question is, you've been spending quite a lot of time helping school kids, particularly those who are at the low decile areas. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, this is some work that I've been doing for the last couple of years, and it's something that I got involved in really almost by accident through a friend of mine who is a principal at Manurewa Intermediate, Ian Taylor, and he invited me out a couple of years ago to talk to the students about careers in broadcasting. And while I was there, I got really engaged with the students. They were quite amazing and very creative. They had a lot of really interesting ideas around things, but I would notice that many of them had sort of quite low levels of confidence, and so that led me to establish a confidence course within the school that we've been running for the last couple of years, and more than 100 students have completed that, and I've got involved in lots of different areas within the school, and it's really opened up a world of education that I hadn't really had a lot of exposure to previously, but it's one that I'm finding I'm really enjoying.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I read your article in the New Zealand Herald about digital stuff in education. So how do you think about our education system now? And is there any way that the system can be improved?
Yes, I think there is lots of room for improvement. And I think it's difficult for many schools because they're dealing with a world that is changing so quickly around them. And of course, they're not necessarily geared up to make those changes quickly. We still teach children very much around it in a classroom environment, and yet we know that the way that they work within employment situations is very, very different. It's very collaborative. It's very much based on teams, and we're asking young people these days to be a lot more creative and a lot more innovative, but I'm not sure if the system ultimately reflects that. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to do things differently. I think there's a lot of opportunity to extend students into areas that they wouldn't traditionally be involved with. This is areas such as coding, innovation, entrepreneurship, all of those sorts of things, which schools have traditionally not been really actively engaged in. And I think, people like me who've got, interests in this area, particularly within business, can play a role in helping schools manage this transition. But it's a process that schools all over the world are having to deal with. So I don't think our schools in New Zealand are any different from many others. But there's lots of opportunities, I think, and I think that when we think of people like Sal Khan and the impact that he's had with the development of Khan Academy, websites like Khan Academy, which have really changed the whole way we learn, I think that gives us some clues about where we might be developing more of those sorts of initiatives in the future.
Yeah. So you've been spending a substantial amount of time in improving young people's learning and their development, which is mostly voluntarily. Have you ever considered full-time in the education sector? And would you like to achieve? What would you like to achieve in this area?
Yeah, actually, funny you should ask that, because that's a question a few people have said to me as well. Look, it may end up growing into a full-time role, but I'm lucky that I work for myself, and so I as a contractor, I can split my time any way that I want. And what I usually do is I give away one day of my week basically to education and working, as you've said, mainly in low decile schools. That may grow into a full-time role eventually. I'm not sure, because I get involved in lots of other areas as well too. But I think in some ways it's quite good not being involved full-time in education, because it means that I bring a perspective that comes from a wide range of other interests. And I think that's important these days, that students get exposure to people who are working in lots of different areas. One of the things that we see about the world today, isn't it, that people have to be multi-skilled, they have to be doing lots of different things, and this idea that you previously went to school and focused on one career and one job, I think that's very much in the past. I think in the future it's going to be about being skilled in a number of different areas and being able to use those skills in lots of different ways.
Yes, but now you're actually the president of the New Zealand Association for Gifted Children, so you can actually help people. Can you tell us about this organisation, your mission and your plan?
Yes, well, the New Zealand Association for Gifted Children is an organisation that promotes the special needs for gifted children, and often they are forgotten about in the process, because having a child who's gifted is almost as demanding as having a student that perhaps might have learning difficulties at the other extreme. These are students who are able to learn very quickly, and often they place a lot of demands on their families because they just have this intense interest in learning. And for many parents, they struggle with that. So there's opportunities through what NZAGC provides. They provide a lot of support programs for parents and for students. And I think really when we look at gifted intelligence, it really is a major asset. If you look at the world today, I think we're in a huge war for talent, and so young people who have a particular interest in learning and are gifted within that area, I think provide real opportunities for countries like New Zealand in the future, particularly around science, and STEM-related subjects as well. So I think we have to be doing a lot more to help them and promote their cause, and that's why I chose to become involved and have recently been elected. I haven't had a lot of involvement with the organisation. It was a bit of a surprise when they came to me actually and asked if I'd be interested in being president. And when I went away and thought about it, I thought, yeah, well, maybe there are some skills that I can offer them, and I hope to be able to make a contribution to that organisation in the years ahead.
Tune in next week for part 2 of the interview. Let's quote: "Let us be grateful to the people who make us happy. They're the charming gardeners who make our souls blossom," by Marcel Proust. My featured guest, Andrew Patterson, is a charming gardener. He makes our souls blossom. It will be great if our world has more charming gardeners. Our country, our world, and our people will be better. Do you sometimes feel that a task is too difficult for you to accomplish? In fact, our potential is much bigger than what we always think. I like this quote from the British actress Audrey Hepburn. Nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I am possible. Let's be inspired. Black or white from academictips.org. When I was in primary school, I got into a major argument with a boy in my class. I've forgotten what the argument was about, but I never forgot the lesson I learned that day. I was convinced that I was right and he was wrong, and he was just as convinced that I was wrong and he was right. The teacher decided to teach us a very important lesson. She brought us to the front of a class and placed him on one side of a desk and me on the other side. In the middle of her desk was a large round object. I could clearly see that it was black. She asked the boy what color the object was. White, he answered. I couldn't believe he said the object was white when it was obviously black. Another argument started between my classmate and me, this time about the color of the object. The teacher told me to go stand where the boy was standing and told him to come stand where I had been. We changed places, and now she asked me what the color of the object was. I had to answer white. It was an object with two different color sides, and from his viewpoint it was white, only from my side it was black. Sometimes we need to look at the problem from the other person's view in order to truly understand his or her perspective. Let's explore. Do you believe that in a room of just 23 people, there's a 50% chance that 2 people have the same birthday? It's called the birthday problem. You don't believe it? Go to Wolfram Alpha to check the proof. Here's another one. So could you please grab a pen and a paper? If you write out pi to 2 decimal places, which is 3.14, flip your paper, you see the words pi, P-I-E. You don't get it? Go to Youth Voices with Tristan Pang Facebook page. Check it. Still have your pen and paper with you? Well, I can read your mind. And if you don't believe it, let's try and see. Okay, pen and paper at the ready. So first, pick a number between 1 and 10. And if you don't have a good memory or you're not very good at calculations, I suggest you write the number down and work it out. So now, double your chosen number. Then add 8. Then now divide that number by 2. Now subtract the number you chose from the beginning. You should now get a number. Okay, think of the letter that goes with that number. So 1 is A, 2 is B, 3 is C, 4 is D, and 5 is E, and so on and so forth. Now you have a letter, think of a country that starts with that letter. And take the second letter of that country, and think of an animal in the circus that starts with that letter. Now you have a country and your animal. But wait a minute, there are no elephants in Denmark. Let's laugh. A woman runs into a doctor's office and says, "Doctor, doctor, you have to help me. Everywhere I touch, my body hurts." The doctor replied, "Show me." So the woman poked her ankle and screamed of pain. Then she poked her knee and yelled, "Ow!" She poked her forehead and screamed again. She was about to continue when the doctor said, "That's enough. Let me think this over." He thought for a minute and said, "I think I know what your problem is. You broke your finger." So for today, that's all from me, Tristan Pang. Thank you for listening. Please write to me on Facebook. I need your support. And don't forget to like Youth Voices on Facebook. Goodbye. Join me again next Saturday at 5:20 p.m. to dig deeper, or listen anytime online at planetaudio.org.nz/youthvoices. Youth Voices.